second grade, we are back for week 4 of virtual learning. We are getting ready to go into our math lesson, our math topic for this week. And we're going to start out with our objective and our standard. Our objective for this week is I can find the total values of collections of dimes, nickels, and pennies and quarters. And our standard is 2MDC.8, which is solve word problems involving dollar bills, quarters, dimes, nickels, and pennies using dollar and cent symbols appropriately. So going back to our objective, last week we focused just on learning about pennies, nickels, and dimes, and we learned how to add them together. This week we are building onto it and we're adding quarters into the mix. We're going to take this step by step. So adding quarters is going to make it more challenging than it was last week because last week we focused on pennies, which are 1 cent, dimes, which are 10 cents, and nickels, which are 5 cents. And quarters, as we saw in the intro video, are worth 25 cents. So we're going to get into some double-digit addition, and we are going to have to make sure that we're following this step by step. So before you do anything, I would suggest getting a paper and a pencil, just in case you need to write down numbers and step-by-step procedures to make sure that you are fully understanding the process. All right, here we go. This is our chart for the week. I really like this chart because it breaks it down step by step, even in a way that I did not fully go into last week. So we're going to go over this really quickly. So we're going to start on the left-hand side where it says penny. Under penny, it says brown. Brown is in yellow highlighter. And under that, it says 1 cent. And we know that a penny is brown or orangish kind of, and it is worth 1 cent. Ridges means the texture around the coin. That just means that pennies are smooth around the coin. And what is on the back of the coin? It is a building and its size is medium. So that is a penny. A nickel is silver. It is worth 5 cents. It is also smooth around the ridges. And on the back is also a building and it is also a medium size. So a similar size to a penny. Then we move on to dime. A dime is also silver. It is worth 10 cents. It does have ridges, so if you feel the outside of a dime, it's rough and it has little things on the outside that you can feel, so it's not smooth. What is on the back of the coin? It is a torch and 2 plants, and it is small. So it is the smallest of our coins. Even though it is worth more than a penny and nickel, it is smaller than both of them. Lastly, we have our quarter, which is our new coin this week. It is silver. It is worth 25 cents, so that is the most. It does also have ridges similar to a dime, and on the back is a bald eagle. On the back of some quarters, there are states as well. So if you look at different quarters, you might see a quarter for Pennsylvania, a quarter for New York, and so on and so forth. And the size is big. So it's worth 25 cents, which is the most, and it is also the biggest of the coins. All right, scholars, here we see that we have 3 different coins, and based on what we just went over, we know that we have 2 nickels and 1 dime. And if we look back at our video from last week, or just remember our video from last week, this was actually one of the problems that we learned to do. So I just want to do a quick refresher before we add quarters into it, because quarters are going to make an additional step that's going to make it a little bit more difficult for us, but we're going to learn strategies as to how to best do it. So remember, we start with the 2 nickels and we take it step by step. So we know that nickels are worth 5 cents, so we write out 5 plus 5, which equals 10 cents. So now we've added our 2 nickels. Now all we have to do is add our dime. So we take our 10 cents and we add it to the 10 cents that a dime is also worth. So it is 10 plus 10, and we know that when we add 10 plus 10, that equals 20. So we have 2 nickels and a dime that is worth 20 cents. All right, so here we see that we have our original 2 nickels and a dime, and we added a quarter. So obviously we do our 2 nickels, which is 5 plus 5 equals 10, plus our dime, which is 10 plus 10, which equals 20 cents. So the next step that we have to do is we have to add our quarter to it. So it's going to be 20 cents plus 25 cents. So a huge difference in the way that we're going to do this is we are going to write our math problem out so that we line up our 10s and our 1s above each other. So we take our 20 plus 25, we put 20 plus, and 25 at the bottom. So in our ones place, we have the 0 and the 5, and in our tens place, we have the 2 and the 2. And then we start in our ones place, and we add 0 plus 5, which we know is 5, and 2 plus 2, which we know is 4. So the answer to our problem here is having 2 nickels, a dime, and a quarter means that you have 45 cents. The important part of this is we could have done it where we did it vertically, which means that in the line form, so the vertical form was 5 plus 5 equals 10 cents, and 10 plus 10 equals 20 cents. But when we do double digit addition, especially when we have bigger numbers, we want to make sure that we line it up horizontally. To line something up horizontally means that we do it so that it is stacked on top of one another. So the 20 is on top of the 25, and we line up our tens and our ones, and therefore we have our correct way of adding it together. This is going to be the easiest way to make sure that we don't make any mistakes. So as long as we have our tens and our ones lined up, we're going to be able to find our answer quickly and efficiently. All right, so now let's move on to one that we do together. So again, make sure that you have your paper and pencil. The last one we kind of just saw all the steps together as one. So we're really gonna break this one down and figure out how to do it step by step. So there's a couple ways that you could do this. You could either start with the biggest coin, which would be the quarter, which is 25 cents, and then add it to the next biggest coin, which would be the dime, which is 10 cents, and then add it to the next biggest coin, which is the nickel, which is 5 cents, and then lastly add the pennies together. Or you could choose to simply do this one coin at a time, which would be picking one coin, whether it is the penny, the dime, the nickel, or the quarter, to start and add together one by one. So if you did it that way, then if you started with the penny, then you would choose 1 penny, plus 1 penny, plus 1 penny, plus 10, plus 5, plus 25. And as long as you took it coin by coin, then that is an okay option as well. But what I would suggest for this one is, because there are 6 coins and this can be a little bit more complicated, the way that I want to do this is I'm going to actually start with my biggest coin this time. So that was a little bit different than how we did it the last time, because we started with our nickels and then went up. But now we're actually going to start with our biggest coin and take this step by step. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my quarter and I'm going to write 25 down. Now I need to add something to 25. So what I'm going to do is horizontally, like we talked about before, I'm going to add 10 to my 25. So I'm going to write 25 plus 10, and then I'm going to figure that out. So please make sure that you have the 25, and under the 25, you've lined up your tens and your ones with the 10 underneath it. I'm going to show you what that looks like on the next slide. All right, so here we see that we lined it up horizontally, so we put our 25 plus 10, and we got the answer 35. So on the next slide, you're going to see how I actually took out the quarter and the dime, because I've already counted these, and we're going to move on to adding our nickel and our 3 pennies to this. So I took out our quarter and our dime because we already added them together, and now I am focusing on adding our nickel to our 35. So you'll see I lined it up horizontally. I made sure I lined up my tens and my ones. Obviously 5 doesn't have anything in the tens place, so I put a 0 to just remind us of this. So our answer came out to 40. And we can either remember right before we left to start virtual learning. In class we were learning about addition, double digit addition with regrouping, or we can actually make this easier for ourselves and we can count by 5s in order to do this. So we know if we have 35, to make the jump from 35 plus 5 more, we know it goes 30, 35, 40. So we know that when we add 5 to 35, we have 40 cents. So now we get to our easy part. We have now added a quarter, a dime, and a nickel together, and we just have our 3 pennies left. And we know that pennies each equal 1 cent, so we're going to take this step by step as well. So our first penny is 40 plus 1, which equals 41. Now we just take 41 plus 1, and we get 42. And lastly, we add our last penny, which is 42 plus 1, and we get 43 cents. So we found out that when we take a quarter, a dime, a nickel, and 3 pennies, and we add them together, we get 43 cents. All right, second grade, you did an awesome job with that. This is a little bit more of a difficult concept than what we did last week. So if you are still confused or have any questions or just want to talk about this any further, please reach out to me or your teachers. I am more than happy to help anyone, and I will do whatever I need to so that you are able to fully understand this concept. Again, even if you are not able to pick up all of it right now, take the time during the week to watch the video again and just focus on improving day by day, because I know that you are capable of doing it and I know that you're going to do an awesome job. If it is frustrating you, just take a break from it, walk around, do what you got to do, come back, and just keep working hard because you're doing awesome. Again, our objective was to find the total value of collections of dimes, nickels, and pennies and quarters, which we went over in the video. All of our work this week will be aligned around this objective, and please just remember, whatever you need to help you succeed or to help you understand this, if you don't understand it, we are here to support you and we are glad to do so. Have an awesome week, and I cannot wait to see you guys on Harambe and office hours.